There we go. How's it, everybody? Sorry, Ed, we were just busy talking there. Cut you off. Honestly,
we got like a countdown screen, and I must say that was pretty weird with inspiring music. It was quite. I feel ready.
Hopefully everybody. So certainly Warren's here. Hello, Warren. You know, he says his work up to 21 degree Fahrenheit morning. That sounds chilly. We don't want any of that kind of stuff. But here we are. So we're talking today with Ed Thompson, who was very gracious. Hello, Ed, to come and talk to me the other day about his photo booking process, and it's been good for channels. So how are things on your side, Ed?
They're good, yeah. I kind of filmed a little video this morning that's finally a follow-up to how to sell zines part 2, which I did in the summer, and it was very interesting because I just put out these zines, and obviously I'm used to selling my photo books, but I'm not used to selling zines, and it turns out it's a little bit different. So I was just recording a little video about that because, yeah, the kind of people who take hardback books, believe it or not, they might not take your zines to sell, which surprised me. Yeah, there seems to be certain areas of bookshops will have a little zine corner, and some of them won't touch zines because, let's face it, you know, I'm selling mine for £8, and if they take their cut of it at 40% or whatever, it's not, it's you know, they might not do it. So anyway, I've been trying to work out ways of doing that. So yeah, it's been one of the challenges.
Excellent. Well, I hope hopefully it will go pretty well and stuff. And so, just everybody who's joining us, this has been unexpectedly launched at you. So here we have it's almost like a surprise live stream. But I was talking with Ed recently. I said, you know, we had a good chat, and I really enjoyed our discussions back and forth, both on camera and off. And I thought, you know what, this is something I miss. I miss this kind of like talking back and forth. Ed, you're a reasonably intelligent photographer, I think.
I've got books. Look, there's books.
You've got books.
But then there's a pinball machine, so it kind of serious but silly.
I look, see HCB, you know. See, this is where he pulls out the same copy.
Yeah, look, here we go. Mine's slightly damaged by leaving it out. It's well read, it's well loved. Yes.
Oh, look, I've got. I have got further through page 19. But the thing, but we were talking, you know, the other day about about books. And it is a big process. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I looked at your video to begin with. It's something I've been thinking about for ages, and I thought, you know, I really want to get into this, but it did seem like really overwhelming. And you say your video helped, but today I wanted to like pick your brain about so because that seems like a bit of a dip of the toe in the water kind of thing.
Essentially all the skills that I've used making my hardback books, which this is where there's not one to hand. Oh, here we go. Look, there's one. So all the skills that I've used to make what's called an offset printed hardback book. So that's, printing on a big machine, making bigger runs, the exact same skills you'll use when you're making a zine. And the fun thing with that is that you haven't got that pressure, the financial pressure of paying to print 500 copies offset between versus, 50 zines for £100 or cheaper. It's a really lovely way to sort of get into it and and kind of build up your skills, it's challenging because I said I did it all on my own. So like I designed it myself, I laid it out, I all the color proofing. And can you see in the background? I put out the unseen, and basically that's when you're printing offset, that's what comes out of the machine, these giant sheets. And then you'll pay a little bit of money to have them sent to you before you actually go there to print the book to then check the colors. So it's, it's a bit scary. Whereas with zines, man, like I just pay to print one. So I went to who I print with, who are Mixam, and I was like, I'll just pay for one. And I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a little bit. I think it might have been £20 for one.
Yeah, but it's not extravagant though.
No, and the point is, if you're going to print 100 of them, you want to make sure it's correct. So yeah, and it's wonderful because you've got it, man. You've got the finished article. Whereas when you print offset, all you're seeing are little sheets of paper. And even when you're there printing it in the big factory, in the warehouse, they give you the sheets of paper and say buy, but you don't even know what it's going to look like bound. You just have to kind of hope that it looks cool. Whereas printing a zine, it arrives like the test print and you're good to go. You're literally like, this is what it's going to look like.
Well, that's the thing. One of the things, we were sort of talking about, I think also with the zine is, a book is a major undertaking, not just physically from, actually laying out the book and the whole thing, but in regards to the images, what you're taking, the sort of photographs that you've got. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is this idea of like having a smaller project, a project that you can sort of really sort of not, I suppose, do in a day kind of thing.
Although I did do that one in a day.
In a day. Okay, so there we go. So you can do it in a day. You know, and that's kind of thing. You know, a lot of people ask about, you know, how to get a project going. Do you need some sort of grand vision? This kind of thing. You know, what are the, you know, what was your process really for creating an idea to, you know, just get your teeth into?
Well, the zines actually just came from me publishing the bigger bodies of work that were shot over a few years, to then
Yeah.
looking back at some earlier work and thinking, now, you know what? Like, truth be told, man, Alex, I shot both of these in a day. So
Yeah.
they were little mini projects that I did in a day.
Okay.
But the thing with a zine, right? I'm looking at, you know, like, here's Cafe Royal books, right? I love that they call them Cafe Royal books, because it's literally 7 sheets of A4 paper with a staple. And in that little zine are only 14 photos, including the cover and the back cover. So if you've got 14 photographs, you've got a zine. So, you know, I'm sure if you really attacked a subject for the day, I bet everyone here, right? I bet you could do a zine in a day, and I bet it'd be good. If you just picked, like, for me, I picked events. So I picked an Extinction Rebellion protest and a Bilderberg funny thing. And that was enough for them, you know, to get enough content to then produce a little zine. So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Because, you know, as I think, as most people sort of know, you know, I've been in the States recently, and I think I've got an idea for, you know, for some general about my photography, kind of like an abstract thing. But I thought it might be interesting, and well, I say it might be interesting. Maybe it's not. Who knows? People might say it would be rubbish. But I thought, if I kind of bring in some of the photographs that I've been looking at, you know, over the time. This is my little lightroom. It's not,
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
bridge. Yeah. You know, so these are just, let me just bring this up on the screen so I can actually do it properly while I'm doing this. So I'm just going to move that. And, you know, this kind of they're ideas that, you know, I kind of feel, why is this not moving like that? Sorry, I do actually know how to use computers. He says, because it's, I think it's getting a bit squiffy because it's sort of sharing. Oh, that's why. Let me just, there we go. All right. So yeah, so these kind of, you know, it's me, so really just kind of photographing things that tickle my fancy as I'm walking around. And as a starting point, you know, if you were looking at this, what would be your process of going through trying to tease out something in there that might be useful?
If I was your editor right now, I would say, I want to see it all, Alex. Show me everything. Because, like, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start making associations. Now, immediately off the bat, I can see lots of light, lots of cool things with light. Check it out. I just was totally drawn. That amazing glowing rectangle on its side, whatever, diamond shape. Like, that looks so trippy.
Well, this one here.
Yeah, what is going on there?
I think it's a reflection.
It's a reflection, but it just looks so abstract.
Yeah.
It almost looks like something someone
Yeah,
might have done in post in
yeah.
Photoshop. But then you've got the light on that clock bouncing around, and then you've got, you know, some other light. So I'd say there's definitely a connection with light. Obviously, you're coming it from the point of architecture as well. So yeah, my best advice would be you could start grouping similar images for content, as in what's in the photograph. So I mentioned there's interesting things to do with light. You could start grouping them over composition. Like, a lot of it's architectural. Does some of the compositions you've made mirror other compositions? Do they look similar in some way? I mean, one thing you can do with architecture that's cool, I think it was in the book Fault Lines by Georges Jéjou, if I get that right. If I murdered his name, I'm sorry. But what the book designer Tun van der Heyden did was, across every page there was like a line of, say, a telegraph pole or something, and the book's called Fault Lines. So the designer made it so every time you turn the page, that telegraph pole line
The
connected
continuity kind of
all
thing.
through different photos. It wasn't like one street, it was all through. So there's weird things you can do, bearing in mind how a page is turned. But to begin with, you got to look at it all, man. You got to look at everything. So let's go. How many shots have we got here?
So here we got 71. There are
Let's do it.
5,008 that are hidden.
Let's look at them all. Show me them all.
So we settle into 25 days. So these are obviously, you know, this is from my point of view, just kind of going through and just sort of labeling them very quickly.
I'm getting yellow and blue, like massive yellow and blue, lots of blue skies, lots of yellow signs there.
Yeah, the sky was something else when I was down there.
Alex, there's so many lines. You've got so many strong compositional lines going on. Can you see that? There's like this
Yep.
shot here zooming up. I mean, just that is a nice pairing. I can't quite see on the screen. Right, one more with your mouse, the one next to it. Yes, and the one next
This
door
one
to that
here
on the
with
right.
the
Yeah, but those two together. Look at the way the sky almost meets up. Yeah, those two.
yeah,
You
it's
see it?
that and the
It's
veg.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like an optical illusion. If you put that on a double page spread, it's
yeah.
sort of the sky is your continuation. You're somehow using that negative space together to almost bring those compositions together.
See that? See, it's stuff like, I think, Ed, that's, I think, for people who are watching, when you kind of look at images by yourself, and I think, Ed, you might also kind of feel this as well, is that there's so many associations that you have with that photograph that you kind of like I know what I was doing, I know where I was, I know what I was kind of thinking, and you make assumptions. At least certainly I do. But now Ed's coming along and he's looking at these work with a fresh eye, not knowing any of the background, which is often, I think, find people do that. I don't know if they do that to you, Ed. It's like they tell you the story behind the photograph of where they were, and it's like, that's pretty cool, man. And I dig that it has resonance with you, but if you have to tell me the whole story, it's kind of like, So it's things like, it's like the image to the next of it, the box office. That's my kind of really rubbishy homage to to John Mayewitz's lady. Yes, I think. But you mentioned the lines, and yes, okay, that's something I've been aware of.
Have you paired these together already, Alex? Have you paired these together? No. So check it out.
These
Done it
are,
again.
what I've done here is I went through, because these are on my phone. And what happens, there are some personal images in as well, so I've kind of gone through and just but these are as they were photographed in continuity.
Right. Okay,
Right.
good.
So
Good.
kind of they go from the airport. We're then at so like driving, like this one with the street sign, that's driving to the petrol station. We're at the petrol station, then we're driving along. So they're kind of just bang 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 as photographed.
Yeah. Can you go back up? There was one with there was orange back to back. It's like you zoned in on some orange. There was a Pepsi machine, then there was like a weird rusty orange thing on the floor.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
here.
Oh no, that thing,
Yeah.
the palette. Those two, right? Again, if you shot this just going along, it's weird how your mind zoned in on that color, and then either consciously or subconsciously, you had the same color in the background. Maybe it was obviously the same space. Look, the tables were
It's the
painted
same
the same
space.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like just the way, like you had it, the image of, is it a what is it, a roller coaster, a flume, a water
Oh,
park?
that's it. Yeah, it's a water slide. Yeah.
So the fact that you had that on the left side and the Pepsi machine on the right, generally in the West, we view photo books looking left to right. So these are also considerations when you're making diptychs, like which is the photo on the left? Because chances are people are going to look at that first. And I sometimes find if it's a very dense image, it's going to slow down the gaze. So sometimes maybe on the left, you might have a less busy image and a more busy image on the right. Again, just weird conventions. It's different for everyone, but that's just something I found the way I look at photo books.
I think this is what you touched on there. It's very important, and I have done this in the past. Somebody recommended this to me, which is how I found all the lines and things in my images originally. Is they said to print out all of your work and put it down on the floor, and then step back from it, because it's easier to see. Like what we're doing here now, and a lesser extent, is to see all of it in one go. Whereas so many, I think, especially these days, people tend to put an image on the screen, one image, and they just look at it and go, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool, but not thinking about that wider context, as you mentioned. And certainly that flow thing, I hadn't even thought about it. That, yeah, the flume, it's interesting because I call it a foofy slide. Is that like that way? If that was on the page to the left, the eye goes up onto it and then shoots off, and then you're coming into the so it's interesting to see those kind of ideas, at play.
Yeah, and the colors, man, you had that lovely sky. Again, I found in books where I try and kind of keep the skies the same almost throughout, even if they're shot on different days or different times a year, whatever, just so it has a bit of a flow sometimes. So you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It depends what kind of photo project you've made. I
I
love
think
this. Sorry, the flag. I mean, again, if it's accidental, Alex, it's genius, man. But the shot of the American flag bottom left, and then the towel being held up almost like the American flag next to it. Is that an accident?
I hadn't even made the connection there.
It's great.
Wow.
Red,
Thank
white,
you.
and blue, man. Red, white, and blue. Look at it. It's
Yeah.
right there. It's right there.
The skies we were so lucky with the skies, that the skies the first couple of days were just like, wow, that was amazing. Yeah, it's kind of like, this is the sort of thing, so I go around and basically, I just take photographs of things that, excuse me, I find interesting. Like here, these airplanes, they don't quite fit into some of the other stuff of the buildings, but the ideas are kind of there. But it was just like, it's like, here's a municipal airport with a bunch of radio control planes. I just thought
One
that
of them could, right? That shot of the blue and silver one from underneath.
Yeah.
It looks as abstract as your architectural shots.
This one over here.
Yeah. The other ones,
Mm.
you can see it's a plane. It's very clear. Most you can still see that's a plane, but it's a
Yeah.
weird angle to have shot it. And with some of your architectural photos, again, they've got that what's called like the look again factor, where you look at them and it takes a minute for your brain to kind of work out what's going on. So yeah, it depends how you want to do this. Like, I think part of it, you'd start making folders of like similar compositions or themes.
Yeah.
Like, I just put it blunt, man. Like, if you've got photos that mess with people's heads because they look at it and they need to work it out, like some people would say that's not a good photograph. For me, because I've seen so many photos, I love a look again photo. I love to look at a photo and be like, what is going on? There's a great shot.
Look again. Yeah. What a wonderful phrase. Thank you very much. Yeah. I just, it's so nice to, I think, talk through with somebody, who's kind of, it's going a little bit further than sort of, oh, that's kind of nice. I like this. It's kind of cool, sort of funky things. And to be able to get that insight you mentioned about the stars.
That sign's nice. No, sorry to butt in, man. I do that when I see a photo I love. What's that say on it? It's a bit small on my screen. The red glow.
This one, it says more market.
Yeah, it's a nice glow.
Yeah. So that is that's the same. These two images at the top there, that's the same place. So I'm literally sitting at the same table.
But that's the magic of photography, man. Like, and you're like, okay, but then look at that one. Wham.
Yeah. And because that one, I went, do you know what? A lot of these are just auto exposure and they're just, they're very auto. But that one, I went, do you know, I want that sign to stand out. So I kind of deliberately underexposed, the rest of the image.
Perfect.
So the thing came out there. But yeah, it's
you know what, in my head, look at so I'm going to do this again. I've got to jump in. The one on the right that says Glen Argyle, look at your line of angle. You've angled that sign. It's not far off the angle you made the more market sign. And then the red and the blue as an opposite, and the green, I almost feel like you wouldn't have it as a diptych. What you'd have is you'd turn the page. You'd turn the page, and there's this weird psychological hangover. Do you know about the Kuleshov effect? Are we going a bit deep here?
We might be, but do you know what? It's early in the morning. We've got 10 minutes to go.
Let's go.
Just jump in.
So check it out, man. I'm pretty sure it was like a Russian, like either artist or scientist. I can't remember the backstory. If someone fill it in, but I know the gist. And the gist is they do an experiment where they'd project a blank person's face, looking really blank and no emotion, to an audience. Next, they'd flash up like a hamburger, and everyone in the audience would say, "Oh, look, he's hungry." That same photo of the exact same blank faced person, they'd flash up a coffin and said, "Oh, he's dead." And it was like whatever image came after the image of the blank face, people, if it was the next shot was someone holding a puppy, they're always happy. So what you can do in a photo book, you can really change someone's perception by the shot you show before. And I feel like your more market sign, if someone's to see that as a double page spread on the right hand side, turn it over and then see the Argyle sign. Like anyone who's really, really into photo books will be like, oh yeah, this guy gets it. Because you're playing with their like perception, and that you're now mirroring. You're almost playing a game with the viewer, where you're like, I get it. I get that you're looking at a book. I'm with you. It's like, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
No, but thank you. So this. It's always nice to hear people say kind of cool things about your own photography. But going back to the project idea, and right back to the beginning, we talked. You mentioned about zines.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't need to be a whole heap of images. No. And that there can be something. So like that Glen Argyle image that we looked at right at the end there. So that's on Halloween. So and I don't have enough images that could be Halloween, but the earlier images were all on an island called Chincoteague, which I'd have to struggle to say. And Sarah, if you're watching this, at least I can get it right. That might be something. It's a weekend on an island, and it's just kind of the life. What would you suggest though? because I feel that you can't just randomly put 12 images together. That
No.
would you need some sort of theme though? Certainly.
What I did with my Bilderberg zine, and it's like, it's on, I said I put out these funny 22 videos of how to make a zine previously before I even did the channel. I just was like, I want to share how people can do this. Well, what I did was I printed loads of little photos and I just started making associations. So all the portraits I put together, all the landscapes I put together, any what's called human relationship pictures of people engaging, I put together, any close-up shots I put together. And from that, I started to develop a structure. And that's how I put my Bilderberg zine together. And it's a classic way of editing, but there's so many ways of editing this. And I think, should we respond to some of the questions before it ends?
I think, yeah, I was going to say, I'll let you finish your train of thought. Then I was going to
but anyway, so that's what I did. And the thing is, I don't know if I've got it over here. Like, look, even before I printed my zine, before I even printed the test print for like 20 quid, I just printed that on a home printer. It's like, literally, it's the same size as not the same size, sorry, it's the same content as the final zine. I just printed it really small and it still works. It's just to have that physical process of looking through. You can do it. You know what? You don't even have to do that. If you just got a book and you print the little photos, you can wedge them in and just flick through it that way. It's just trying to train your mind into seeing one photo after another. That's so important. Sequencing. It's not just the edit. Sequencing is vital. So vital.
Sequencing there. Yeah. I have to say, I find this extremely useful. But yeah, as you said, let's have a look at some of the questions now. Robert Joseph, way back at the very beginning of chat, he was asking about the best paper to use for his zine.
Okay, so look, check it out. I came the hard way through this in that I think I printed a zine like 12 years ago, and I printed it on coated paper, and I didn't sort of get along with it. And then where is it? Here we go. I printed an exhibition catalogue. So this is me hunting around. I'll try and not get nudity in this one. There we go. So I printed this exhibition catalogue a little while ago, and what I did when I printed it on digital, and I printed it on uncoated paper. And I tell you what, man, compared to offset printing, I found printing on uncoated really good for whatever reason. Like, I found when I print on coated paper with digital, the colors are so vibrant. It's kind of, it spoils it. Whereas that's printed on uncoated. And I just found it just sort of seemed to absorb into the paper really nicely. Whereas I feel like when I did test prints before on coated like silk paper or glossy, the digital, it was just so pop, it was just popped too much. So for my money, it's uncoated. And I'll let you into a little trick, right? When you're making your zine, check it out. You might think like, oh, here's page 1. On page 2, I'll have like, part of a double page spread. Do not print your cover on different paper stock, because you're going to find if it's glossy, when you open the zine and do this, half the paper will be shiny, the other half will be uncoated. So if you're going,
is that the voice of experience talking?
Not at all. No, I worked it out. I'm a clever guy. I've got books and a pinball machine. Come on. But anyway, so the point is, for me, man, like personally, my taste for printing digitally is uncoated. I find it's really nice. And the other thing to really consider with the paper is the weight. I think off the top of my head, I can't remember, Alex. I'll have to write a comment later or something. But I think this might have been like it was like maybe 130 GSM paper, the thickness of the paper. And the thickness has a huge element. It's like, if it's heavyweight paper, it just seems to absorb the ink better and sit in it better and just look better. And I put a slightly heavier GSM cover on. So it's all, it's cheap as chips, man. I didn't pay to have it like covered with any kind of, you can do glosses and spotting and all kinds of funny stuff or that kind of jazz. But that's my take. Uncoated.
Right. So kind of, so don't go overboard with the papers. I think, it's something as you were thinking about it, I think there's going to be a personal preference. There isn't one sort of paper that's going to fit everything.
Well, my book, I mean, when I went sort of big on my book, The Unseen, there's 4 different paper stocks in it. I've got like, where is it? Let me get it quickly. So as well as like the normal kind of uncoated paper, I shouldn't prep this. I've got some see-through sheets, which are like acetates, which are like overlays. This is viewing death, but here we go. Oh, I found it. It's worth the wait. Check it out. So this is a photograph of a guy's veins showing up because I use this infrared film. But the point is, you can see the text through it. And then also in the book, then there's glossy paper, which is sort of in ice caves in Iceland. And I use the glossiness to try and emulate the kind of shine of the ice. So you can think about that, although I don't think many people mess around doing different paper stocks in zines. But again,
I think that sounds like the advanced the advanced sort of thing. But so that's always good. Somebody, Michael was asking about text. Are they going to have text? Are they not going to have text?
Cafe Rail books, right? All their books look like this: the title, the info on the
Yeah.
front, and that's it. And there's generally never any text in the zine. It's just photos.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my background's like I'm a documentary photographer, but I like
Mm-hmm.
the clean look of not having any captions. So in this zine, right, there's no like text in it apart from that signs with like Leonardo DiCaprio saying help. What I did, because I knew I was making a series of zines, is I put all the text on the back.
Oh, there we
So
go.
the idea is that you have the covers. Again, if you're going to do this right, why not make a whole bunch of them? So you could start with a series. So once you've got your layout of your first one, what I've done is I've kept the layout the same. And now when I do my zines, I just have to drag and drop. I've got all the templates because I've used it before. And I think, you can just think about how you want your design to look. And yeah, it's nice to have a clean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really handy because obviously, it's nice to get an insight into things, both in terms of getting the the project itself going, finding out, because I was saying, the last time I'd mentioned projects, I think I was speaking to Phil Penman on another chat, and he was saying, oh, I've started off with like 100,000 photographs, and it's just like, that's a lot, and
Oh, that causes me
we're
anxiety, Alex.
we'll just go. That sounds like,
That's too much. That's too much.
So so those kind of things, and obviously this is Ed's approach, and it's like most things in photography, it's not always just going to be set in stone and we must do things, but at least it's good to see some ideas. There's a guy here in the chat, MSA Coach Mike, he's saying that as a retired printing chemist, is that obviously the different papers are going to give you different reactions to the colors and things of that nature. So it, sort of find something that works for you, which is always nice. I've got now Ed's, I'm going to put his website up on the screen, edwardthompson.co.uk. Ed's, if you're not aware, he has a number of photo books out and some zines and things like that. If you want to check out more of his work, because we've just been looking at my work, please go over there, check him out. If you're looking to get some pretty cool places to get presents for Christmas, nudge nudge, wink wink, Ed has some books to sell, which is nice. And Rick, just very quickly, we've got a question here from Rick Alexander saying, any recommendations of places to use to create a zine? Rick, assuming you mean maybe like an online layout or printing.
Maybe it means printing, right?
Yeah. Well, let's see about printing. So Ed, and let's go with the UK.
So I've tried a few places out. There's a place called XYZ who I printed exhibition catalogs with before, but they were a little bit bigger on price, but they're very good and they do lots of exhibition catalogs and stuff. I ended up just going with Mixam. I believe they're in the US as well, and they're very, very reasonable. But you have to really kind of lay it out really well yourself with their system, and you've got to be careful because obviously, if it comes and they're wrong, unless you can really prove it was some error on their part, they can be quite tight. So that's part of it. So you do need to make sure, but that's why you want to print a test print. Just print a test print. It's really it's worth it.
So Rick's also asking about creating online. So I'm thinking like maybe possibly someone like Blurb, although things like that. Is there anybody who specifically is set up where you can just create a zine completely online?
Well, Mixam do have like a template system where you can drag and drop, but I always do mine on InDesign, and it's the same way I make my books with Adobe InDesign. I just lay out, but off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Mixam do have a system where it's like blank pages and you can drag and drop and do it that way.
I think for some people, I think that might be an easier approach, especially if they're not used to InDesign or doing layouts in Photoshop and things of that nature. And I'm going to guess Warren has asked about having the print houses have.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and all paper stocks. When I print offset, for example, they'll all have like different sort of profiles and whatever they're kind of doing. So you have to make sure. Like I print offset with copper, so my big books. But same for Mixam as well. Like Mixam do have a system. I haven't printed a zine with them for a couple of months. I've totally forgotten what it is. But if you go to their website, it will tell you how to, you know, sort out the
Excellent.
profiles for your
What,
photos
what
before.
I'll do is I'll get for once we wrap up here, I'll get some links from Ed and I'll pop them in the description box so you guys can go and check them out. And Warren has now opened up the door to monitor calibration, which I think if you jump into that,
Yeah,
it would be
I
like
do. I've got they gave
years.
me. I've got this little guy which I still use, which I find is quite good. It's a little color spider, just a data color spider, and that kind of works.
Yeah, I think I would kind of sort of say, with without sounding like it's very slap-handed, unless certainly when I think you're beginning, rather than worrying about your color too much, it's more about, as I've found in my experience, is black and white. Sometimes you can have what you think is a pretty cool black and white image on the screen, and then you get it back from Loxley, and there's nothing like the profile that they gave you. So so that kind of, I think maybe it's important to get it right, but obviously, I don't get mired down in it too much right now, especially I think just for a zine.
I mean, I just saw Rick here saying about using an iPad. So again, if they have some system online and a back end on their website, then of course you can just do it that way. And I think for Mixam, it was JPEGs. I'm pretty sure you can literally just have them as JPEGs and drop and edit that way. So that's another way of doing it. So it should work. I think most of these places are pretty wired for that kind of stuff.
I think there might be. There's probably an app for that. Who knows? Something like that. So there, I have to say, yes.
Sorry, I did a thumbs up and a thumb appeared. I'd never seen that before. That was strange. Oh,
how does that?
I don't know. I did a thumbs up and it appeared. I'm new to this. Alex, speaking of new, can I plug my show?
Oh, I don't have it. Yes, of course you can plug your show. Sorry,
I'm a new YouTuber. I'm not like Alex. I'm a complete amateur, but I'm learning fast. And Alex has very graciously asked me to come in his show like last week. So again, thank you, Alex. I really do appreciate that. It's very kind of you.
It's my pleasure. What is the name of your channel?
The name of the show is Pictures on My Mind. And
Pictures on My Mind.
Pictures on My Mind.
So there we go. And I think if you pop a link there in the chat very quickly, because they're not being there for some people. So yeah, Pictures on My Mind. Guys, thanks for joining me. This somewhat impromptu live stream, which is really nice. It is being recorded, and obviously, as the way of things with YouTube, you'll be able to watch it later on. And so if you're watching it later on, thank you ever so much for being here. It's been a pleasure to meet you all. Patrick, we'll very, very quickly, if I shoot for a pictorial series, it greatly impacts, excuse me, when I shoot. Do you shoot with a zine in mind?
Well, for me, hand on heart, I told you, it was all old work, like it was all work that I just made. And the reason I made it, my background in documentary was I would sell those stories to magazines. So I wasn't shooting what's called singles. I was shooting with a series in mind. And yet, whatever, I was younger and I couldn't get the magazines to take the story. But newsflash, I've still got the photos. And then, put them in a zine. It's so, what was it, Alex, you said before? You said it to me, better having the photos online than in a box, or better having it.
It's better, but at least just having them. Better printed out. So yeah, better than having them rather than just getting rid of them or something. Yeah. If you hold on to stuff, and that's kind of like, there's a whole other discussion. Maybe we can talk about that next week or something. But that's this idea about people who are very quick to delete all their images and only focus on the keepers. Yeah, see, that's
what are you doing to me, Alex? It's too early for this.
I know it. It's like I just chuck a bomb in there and just kind of go, do you know what, guys? But anyway, thank you once again, everyone. It's been awesome. Ed, dude, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's see some of your zines and things. Reach out. We're always here. And if you haven't done so already, please, it'd be awesome for you to sign up for the Saturday selections, which is my newsletter, which goes out of my ramblings, where you see more of these kind of photographs that don't always get onto the channel. Anyway, thanks ever so much, and we will see you again soon.